Boom! Go
Chase
Getters
Gallagher.
Podcast. Chase Gallagher. We're
Yes,
live
sir.
here from Exton, PA.
Yes, sir. Travel pod. Yo, so we were just talking about Rilo Rodriguez, remember?
Yep.
He has a lyric that says, "All about a bank. If I had a son, I'd name him Chase."
Yep.
Do you think that's what your parents were going for when they had you? Like,
No,
they
they
knew
would
this
not.
kid was gonna chase
I
the
was actually originally going to be named Chad,
Mm.
and there was a thing in Florida at the time called Hanging Chad. There was like a big court case, and yeah, or whatever the hell was going on. And so my mom switched my name to Chase, and I use Chase Bank today. I love them.
Damn, that's
Chase-
tough, really.
Yeah, that is. Chase Gallagher shopping, or not shopping, but banking through Chase Bank.
Yeah.
So we got, this setup was like, how long are we here in the making here? What time did we arrive?
Don't even tell me. Let's just yeah.
I know, time is money on Chase's account. We're here, though. We got the Western County Jesus here with us.
Chester
IT
County.
Jesus.
Chester County.
Chester County.
Yes, sir.
Jesus.
And then we
That's
also
right.
got Brian in the background, manning things as well. But I'm happy we made it happen. We took the trip. We came out here. We left like 8 in the morning.
Yep.
Arrived here at whatever damn time.
Yep.
What's crazy, though, the wildest part is, what was the name of the gym that we're in right now?
Oh, it's called, shout out Dragon
Jim.
Gym. They're like a martial arts gym here in
Chester County.
Chester County, yeah. Super fire gym. It's a really good look in there. And I know they train a bunch of different martial arts like Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu. Shout out all of our Jiu-Jitsu guys. Kickboxing, all that stuff. So.
It's just crazy ironic how we pulled up and
Yeah.
we're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, jiu-jitsu gym where you're watching guys get their rolls in?
We might have to go in there and practice our Ashigaramis.
I know, that's what he was saying. He was like, we should get a day pass after this and go get a roll in.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on the pod, though. What you got on your wrist?
I got a Rolex. This is a it's called a Batman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me check her out.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
How much you spent on that?
17 G's.
17 bands. Did you look at that as an investment, or what was your thought with that?
It was, well, let's just say it involved some peer pressure, tequila, and and just like.
Tell the story. How'd it happen? How'd you end up getting a
basically,
Rollie?
I went to New York City. My buddy Sebastian, who I was telling you about, he was flying in there. Like, I don't even know why he was there. And I was like, oh, it was just so happened our trips collided.
Yeah.
And so he was like, let's link up. And I'm driving. I'm like, let's do it, dude. He's like, I'm buying a Rolex. Meet me in the Diamond District. And I'm like, all right. And he's like, we should both buy Rollies today. And I'm like, I always wanted one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if today was the day. You know what I'm saying? I was, probably going to wait till one of these flips cash out or something. But long story short, we go to Tracks NYC. Blah, 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 blah. We're talking. I start looking at like the contractor's model of this watch, which I thought was like 6 to 8 G's. It's basically the same watch, just without like the Batman version, the blue.
Yeah.
And because I'm like, that's like a contractor's vibe to me. And then the guy pulled out this thing, and I was like originally going to spend, $6 to $8 grand. And then he pulled this thing out, and then he was telling me about the warranties and the year with the Rolex, blah, blah, blah. So then I spent all this money on it. So that's that.
Wow.
They did, my buddy, the ending straw was after 2 shots of tequila, and he's like, dude, it's not going to lose value. Like,
Oh,
you're
my
just
goodness.
and I'm like, all right, fuck it. Yeah.
So
Cashed out.
walk me through the psychology there. So you put the card or whatever the hell you do, cash on the table.
Yep.
What does that feel like? Because I mean, I've never made a purchase that big in my life, so I can only imagine.
So these guys that do these jewelers, they're all about the wire.
Yeah.
They want wire. I was just going to New York City for a vacation. It's a dope city.
Yeah.
So I used a credit card, a Chase Bank credit card, because I'm like, listen, if this thing ends up being fake,
Yeah.
I'm not losing $16K. So I put it on the credit card. Yeah, it cost me an extra $480 or $500 in the transaction fee, but that's like my insurance on it.
Yeah.
So walk me through the transaction. I mean, dude, I was just in New York City. I got the money, obviously. So I bought it. And then on the back end of that, I have a social media business.
Yeah.
I do coaching. I have brand sponsorships. So I wear this in every podcast, and it'll be a write-off.
How old were you at the time?
This was just a couple months ago. This was like 2 months ago.
So you're 22, right?
Yeah.
And you're involved in all these different types of businesses and stuff like that, right? So can you tell us more about what you do? So you have CMG, that's like your overall brand, right? And then you do real estate, you do landscaping, you have a coaching business, you have a bunch of different stuff. I think you own land too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
walk us through all you do.
Like basically how I'm set up is my main business is the landscaping business, CMG Landscaping. Started that company when I was 13, just mowing lawns.
Yeah.
Grew it, got rid of the lawn mowing, and we do project-based design and install work. So it's like instead of $45 services, I'm doing $4,500, I'm doing $45,000 projects with a unique skilled team and the equipment. It helps me make more profit. So then I started that, and then when I was 20, so 2 years ago, I got into real estate, and I bought like 32 acres from my previous landlord. He owner financed it on a 10-year note. I put down a chunk of money, make him payments. So then I grew that, and then that grew into like just Chase Gallagher buying real estate, to now I have like an LLC, properties under the LLC, and then then I started social media. And you start these videos, and people keep DMing me, asking for advice. I'm like, well, let's set up calls. And then I created this coaching program. So there's all sorts of things. And now, like this year, it's been big with like brands reaching out saying, hey, I want a partner. So like I have deals with Jobber. I have deals with design companies, a local bank here, Citadel. We just signed a contract. I got like all these different software companies, they so it's like, and it's not like I'm a big influencer at all. Honestly, I'm surprised at some of this shit, but it's God's plan.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit going on. So from 13, like, how did you were just cutting grass at the time, like probably just in your neighborhood, right, with a lawnmower or something like that?
Literally, that was the only skill I knew how to do, and not even like the best skill. So I passed out thousands of flyers. My brother and his buddies and his crew were at the age, they just got all their driver's license. So I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, all right, we can hit these 4 neighborhoods right here. And that's how I started my business. I hired his friends, because he didn't have his license at the time, to start. And so I was 13 and we were driving. I would hire them neighborhood to neighborhood, mow, 15, 20 lawns I had at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy how young you are, man. Like, what did your childhood look like? Or were you just always kind of like, did you always have this kind of mindset or drive to you?
I think so, dude. So and one of the reasons I started my business was because like both my parents worked like corporate jobs, very like, they'd leave in the morning, not come home till 7. And so my mom was like, always like, hey, I'll pay you to do the garbage. Like, and then it like started with like $5 to do the garbage every week, to like, I was like the end of my chore career. I was like cleaning the whole house every week. I was cooking the dinners every day. Like it was, and mowing the lawn and doing this shit. And so that's where I was making money at a young age.
Yeah.
And I just, every opportunity I got, dude, to work, I took it. And so I maxed out my chores. My parents were like, listen, we're not going to
They're paying you. You're on payroll at that.
Dude, like
all
literally, I would like hand in my chore sheet on Sunday, and my
Yeah.
mom would be writing me checks, and then I'd go to the bank, deposit, and just watch that bank. And it was like literally, I probably had like after a couple of years, I had a couple G's, and so and then my all the money you get at Christmas as a kid, and like we were stashing that, and so hopefully that answers your question.
So,
like, I still remember we went to Malvern Bank and opened up a bank account. And I was like 7, 6. I don't even know. And I only had $1 at the time. And I specifically like remember the whole transaction, putting the first dollar, giving it to the ladies. They're laughing or like smiling because they think it's cute. And like I get the receipt back. I'm like, all right, I got $1. How can I get the next one in there?
What were you interested in spending the money on at the time? Because like obviously as a kid, you're not thinking like a 13-year-old kid or however you old you were at the time. You weren't thinking rental properties. Like you thinking toys? Or were you a gamer? Like what were you into?
Dude, I was always into guns.
Yeah,
always into guns. And again, I come from
County, son.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
like, dude, like oh my gosh, I love guns. And it was a long process getting my parents to agree for me to have a gun, but at 13 they let me. So we went. I convinced my mom like on the spur. So I like there was $300-400 on a little 22.
Yeah, and
then we had a house down in Ocean City, and the development wasn't fully developed. So there was all these sand lots, and so I always wanted a dirt bike, dude. So I spent like literally $2,400 all my money on buying this brand new Kawasaki 110. And so I rode that around. I felt like a baller, dude. Like that's where all my chore money went.
Your friends must have been fucking jealous.
Dude, I had guns, and like it was
This kid was like Dan Bilzerian.
I know, at 13.
Just like fucking shooting guns off of a dirt bike and shit.
Airsoft guns I would buy, like, there was antique shops out in Maryland, and we would go and I'd buy swords and shit. Like I was just into
That's
weapons.
awesome.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, you had an interesting childhood.
Yes.
When did you start taking this stuff a bit more serious? Like, when were you like, I'm kind of done with the dirt bikes, the swords, the guns? Like, when were you like, I'm going to take my knowledge and like all this shit that I built and translate it into like what you do now with your business? Like, how did that all take place?
13, brother, like 13. My parents divorced, and it was like a big thing. But I was like, damn, dude, I'm out here to like get money. Shit got serious. And so you know, I sold my dirt bike,
Mm.
started my business all at the same couple like season, 6-month time frame, and I took that cash, helped me buy my first zero turn, my trailer, all the stuff. And so like 13, dude, ever since I was 13, I just been churning my money.
Mm. And what were like the projects at the time? At that time, what were you doing? Like what kind of projects?
So back then, dude, I was convinced in my head that lawn mowing was where all the money was at.
Yeah.
And so I was just lawn mowing. I do lawn mowing. I do weeding. I do like very small mulch projects that were like a couple $100. I remember underbidding stuff, losing money, and I'm like 13 trying to convince people that have $500,000 homes, let me mow your lawn, or are you insured? Like all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Um,
How were you learning the ropes? Was it like trial and error? Were you just going through the process?
Yeah.
Dude, it was trial and error. Like, and then I had YouTube University. I was watching this guy, Geek the Freak, that did this, like, had this little lawn mowing business. It was just himself. I got his flyer. I would like learn. I'd watch his stuff. I'd go out and like mow random fields and stuff. It was kind of crazy.
What made you make the transition to just doing landscaping into wanting to buy real estate?
So when I was like 13, over the summer, going into 7th grade, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I was going to ask if you read like the finance books and stuff like that.
Dude, that's what it clicked. And I was so like naive back then. I read this book and I was like in school, like, oh, I'm rich, like blah, 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 blah. Like, cause I just thought like the mindset made me rich. Like that's how like young of a kid, how I interpreted it back then. And I was like, all right, well, I got no money. And they talk about business and real estate in the book. So I'm like, I'm going to start a business. And then also like the chores, like it all kind of came together. So I always wanted to be in real estate. You just, you don't know anything. You need money to start. So that's,
When did you get your first property? At what age?
So I was 20 years old.
Okay.
I was handing my landlord, where we stored my equipment back then, a check at the end of the month. He was complaining about this guy couldn't come up with this money for the back half. And I was so eager to buy stuff. I was like, I'll give you 10 grand more than what he wants.
Wow.
And no, stupid. But he was like, well, let me give me a couple weeks. I'm going to have like, he needs some more time or whatever. And I was like, all right, dude. Long story short, I offered him like 75 G's lower than what he wanted in the end, and he accepted it, gave him a big hefty down payment, 10-year term. So that's an owner financed property. It's 2 parcels, one's 27, one's 4. That's where we store my equipment. I got like 5 or 6 tenants on there. So
wow. So what was the plan initially for that first crib that you bought? Did you want to like fix it up, flip it, let people live in it? What was the idea for it?
So that's just raw land. That's more of like a business acquisition for CMG. The first like piece of like home real estate I bought was like 5 months after that. I had 2 years of tax returns done because I'm a business owner. You have to have full 2 years of profitable, like making 80, 90, 100 G's to qualify for a mortgage. And I bought a single family in Downingtown, 1-car garage, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, like the little picture perfect single family suburb house in a development. And put 5% down, lived in there for a little bit, did some upgrades, rented that thing out, and it rents for $2,750. My mortgage is $1,860 a month, and that one's been great, dude.
Really? Hold on, we got to backtrack a little bit. So the first one was land.
Yeah.
And you said you collect a rent off of that land, right?
Yeah, I have tenants on that property.
Okay.
So we developed the property. I market it constantly, and other contractors, landscapers, masons, paving companies, tree guys, equipment dealers, they all rent yard space.
Okay, so they stash their equipment and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay, and then so what were you saying were the metrics that you needed to have in order to get a business loan of like that caliber, like 75 G's or whatever it was?
So that first property was owner financed. So you like the guy didn't check my credit, didn't check my books. The second property I financed traditionally. I had a conventional loan, put 5% down.
For you or your business?
No, so the second property is just under Chase Gallagher.
Okay.
So if you own an LLC or that's how you're producing your income, you need 2 years of profitable tax returns with payroll on them, I believe.
Really?
Yes.
So you can't be an independent person. You have to have a payroll, or you have to pay yourself at least.
You have to pay yourself, I see. Right? So like, and then it just gets more complicated. But if you just take it at that, like run a little bit of payroll and then take K30s at the end of the year, and let's say that totals up to 90, 100 grand.
Yeah.
Then you after 2 years of doing that, you give your tax returns to your mortgage broker, and he says, all right, Chase, you're qualified for 400 G's.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you bought that house under your own name.
Yes.
That's kind of what my situation is like now. So I have this property. It's under my name, and I'm unsure of how to make my next move.
Why?
You know what I mean? And into like buying another property. 'Cause
Okay.
I don't have a business that's profitable like that yet, and I don't know if I can do. Like, I'm not really sure how that game works. Like getting multiple loans in your name.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it's really simple. It's debt to income ratio. So, do you know what were you able to buy before you bought this house? Were you qualified for 200 grand, 300 grand?
It was an interesting situation. So like, what happened was I was kind of like in a situation living wise. Like, I moved out of my parents' house when I was 17, and so I needed to find a place.
Mhm.
And so this one lady that was my girlfriend's neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
she like left this house go for like 2 years,
Mm.
and she was just leaving it there. And so I'm like, listen, I need a place to stay. Like, can I just go in there? I'll clean it up myself. She said, yeah. She was like only charging me $100 a month.
Wow.
So then I was like, okay, you're not using this, right? Because they had some family history in the house that they didn't really want to like deal with, possibly. And so I was like, can I just buy this off of you? And she was like, yeah, I'm thinking 60. So I gave her 54, but I took a loan out. But I don't know how much I was qualified for. Like, I just talked to the bank and I said, would you guys give me 54? They said, yeah. According to your credit and your job history, like that's just how it worked.
Yeah. So you have a traditional mortgage on that property.
It's a FHA actually.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
It's 4.5 interest, something like that.
Yeah. So you're similar situation. So how you get to your next property, what will be, you have to rent out the one that you're in because it's going to affect your debt to income.
He lives there, and then the other guy, the camera guy, lives there.
And you have leases in place?
No.
So all you got to do is get these guys to sign a lease. That's what you're going to send your mortgage broker. That's key.
Yeah.
And then, dude, then he's going to be like, all right, you make whatever. This is what you're qualified for your next one. Boom, you move into your next one. Yep.
That's how it works. So then the lease is where it starts then.
Yeah, just get them to sign a lease, and it can almost. I don't want to say anything illegal, but yeah.
Yeah, let's be careful here, boy.
Yeah, that's not illegal.
Yeah.
Your tenants need to have leases in place.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to show that to the mortgage company. That's all they care about. They don't need to see bank records of the full 1,100 coming into your account.
And so how did it work with your first property? So you took it out in your name. Did you rent it at all, or did you just pay the mortgage on it?
That single family house, I owned it for a couple months. My intentions changed, and I rented it out. I did some upgrades to it, like light, painted the whole thing, some minor like hardware upgrades, and rented it out.
And were you like, so that it stayed in your name though? Because I thought about making that move to like giving it to a business and opening an LLC, but I guess the way that works is you have to have it either entirely paid off or the majority of it has to be paid off in order to give that to a business.
Yeah, it depends on your loan, and you're going to pay a transaction fee and stuff. So, again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, but based on like my team and who I speak to, which are my lawyers and accountants, like I have a $5 million umbrella policy under Chase Gallagher. So it's really like at that situation, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about doing LLC stuff until you got a couple properties and like it's a whole separate conversation.
Okay, that's honorable.
Don't even worry about that.
So there is some potential to possibly report some income off of the property and then ultimately get another loan and buy another one.
Yes.
That's really cool.
By having the lease,
the game.
Yeah, by having the lease in place, it's going to like basically take that mortgage off your debt to income ratio. And so, if you make 80 grand, you're going to have the full 80K to go out and buy another property.
So just to let the people know, this guy owns 9 rental properties. Is that including the land too?
That includes the land.
Damn.
And you did that. So you said you got your first one at the age of 20. You're only 22 now.
2 years, yeah.
So you're moving fast,
you're making moves.
son.
2 years, like 2.5, almost 3 million in real estate.
So what's the idea there? Like how, I guess what I'm trying to ask is how do you manage all of that? Like how are you managing all these different properties with like
and all the other shit he has going on?
Yeah, everything
too.
else you have going on.
So it definitely takes a great team. So I have management in place for 2 of the rental properties. So that's cool. Like I just checked my bank account when we were sitting here waiting, like that rent's about to deposit. And then the other local stuff, it's higher like value real estate.
Yeah.
It's like Chester County real estate. It's not cheap. So the quality of the tenants are pretty good.
Yeah.
But my assistant manages that. So we have a CRM called Avail. It's a rental property management software. All the leases, all the pre-pictures, everything's set up. All the auto payments are set up through there.
Yeah.
Any calls or issues my tenants have, they call the office or my assistant, and she kind of handles it. And we have systems and procedures and contractors on our list, so she knows who to call. All that kind of stuff's handled. I don't want any contact with tenants, and I've made that very clear amongst my team. So that's how I handle it. The land is more direct to me. It's like contractors. I'm in and out of there. My team's in and out of there. So that's how I manage that. And then obviously on the back end, I have a great accounting team.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff, dude. It's just people.
You need a good squad. Like I think that Rob Kiyosaki talks about that. Like, you have to have people who are smarter than you to take care of the stuff that you're not too knowledgeable in. Like, this IT Jesus here just helped us set the whole shit up. And I'm like, thank the Lord, because
I know.
it was just me and you, and we might have had a tougher time doing this. But,
Yeah.
like,
Be filming it on my fucking iPhone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, lawyers, even doctors to some respect with, like, athletes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Accountants, all those types of people who can handle all that
Supportive
shit.
family. I mean, I still live at home, and my mom, she like getting these mortgages, dude. I'm not a paper push. Like, I love to talk to people, and I want to be a paper pusher, which means like I'm using my name to take on debt at 8% with intentions to all that kind of stuff. But like, she'll literally get my docs from my accountants and upload them to the things. Like, little stuff like that does add up. You know what I'm saying? And then my assistant, like, I don't go on Word and edit these proposals. Like, I tell her what I need, and she produces it, and then I just forward it off to my, person, or just all that kind of stuff. It really helps out.
When did you develop like these money managing skills? 'Cause I would imagine that all happened pretty fast.
It definitely did, and it came from learning lessons. You know what I'm saying? So like, my business, CMG Landscaping, it's project based, right? So it goes like this. Now I know 4 months out of the year is my slow months: July, August, January, and February.
Yeah. Cold. It's really cold out, right? I'd imagine.
January and February, exactly. And then July and August, all my clientele are at their beach houses, traveling. So so it just comes from, learning lessons. It comes from, like, I always love money, bro. Like, since I went to the bank deposit, like, I'm just into it. That's like me. So I set up the right business lines of credit, and just all that kind of stuff comes together.
Are you staying in tune with, like, what's happening in the world and stuff like that, in regards to, like, money and like economics and stuff like that?
Economics, I'm really into. Like, this might sound so weird, and I know I come off as like a bro type, and I am, but like, when I go to bed, I'll put on like Meet Kevin or like Kevin O'Leary, or these guys that literally talk about like macroeconomics, what the Fed's doing with interest rates, what China just did against U.S. Like it doesn't even matter to a little landscaper, but I just like learning about it.
Yeah. You think you'll be a billionaire one day?
100%.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's the goal.
that's the goal?
Yeah. So, like, I'm interested to know, like, what your perception is of money, because at one point, I'm like, due to my understanding, it was backed off of gold, right? The gold standard, it was like 1972.
US dollar, yep.
Yeah. And so it's no longer like that. It's now fiat money. So money is largely based off of our illusion of what we believe it's worth, right? So, like, we like, you and I agree that $5 is worth $5, like a Jerry's pie. You don't know what Jerry's is because it's like a small pizza shop in our area, but we agree that $5 is worth $5.
Yep.
That's the idea, right?
Yep.
So with that information, like, how do you perceive money in the world?
Well, what I would like to say to that one part is, like, now the U.S. dollar's strength is based off the world's trust and, like, respect to it, right? So that's one aspect of it. How I now think of money is very much like a tool, and I'm way more fluid with it, right? Like, I would have never 2-3 years ago spent money on a podcast, spent money on, like, just apps and stuff. I like, or whatever you want to call it. So so now I just look at it as a tool. It just flows from one account to the next, or it goes, it's just, I don't know. That's how I look at it.
That's like a lot of what enhancing your money mindset is about. Like, in Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks often about how poor people have, like, this attachment to money, and how they, like, want to keep it so bad, they want to save it so bad, and they don't want to let it go to just anything, which I think is pretty interesting. When people who are really in the game and there's money being transacted from all different places, like, they see it more as something that just comes and goes, and it's more of an abundance kind of mindset, I think.
100%. And as you get into business, I'm still a young guy.
I'm trying to learn that, though.
Yeah, and it's a skill, and it's like, mindsets are hard to break. Habits are very hard to break, and that's how I started. I was a little kid just trying to stack my bank accounts, and I was 12 buying CDs with $2,000, like, and trying to make the little amount of interest. But as you grow in business, and this is why business is so important to start and, like, hustle yourself, because you just like, one day you'll be sitting and realizing, well, damn, millions of dollars have came in and out of this account, and it's like, then the next day you wake up and it's like, oh, you got a $5,000 bill, or you're writing 6 G's to the IRS and 4 G's to your account, and it's like, it just kind of flows. Some days you're a lot richer than others, and you know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
How do you stay, like, on top of the morality of that side of the whole business game, like, with the money coming in, coming out? Like, how do you I guess like what's your plan to always ensure that you're growing?
So, you know, I like that question. How do I ensure I'm always growing? I'm always thinking of the next step or the next 5, right? But I'm always focused on the very next step. And like I'm like a math guy, so if I want to do, you know, my goal was to hit 2.5 million this year. We'll probably do 1.7, 1.8. My goal is to hit 5 million next year. God, so like I'm always just the numbers guy.
5 million what? Like your portfolio?
In revenue.
Oh, okay.
My business.
A year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so I just back into the numbers.
Yeah.
And then I back into like, all right, is it going to be me selling? I want to hire a salesman.
And is that strictly landscaping you're talking about in terms of revenue, or is that
Yes.
your whole thing?
Strictly landscaping.
Wow.
So you're making $3 million a year landscaping, or $1.7 million a year landscaping.
In revenue. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, holy come on.
Yeah, we did like 948,000 in the first 6 months this season. Now, the second half of the season it slowed down a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Money's out there.
Yeah.
100%,
You just
brother.
gotta go get it.
You got to hustle. And so one thing I noticed, right? So first 6 months, my P&L's coming back. I'm a fucking baller. I'm talking to jet brokers and shit like that, and still talk to them. And then like it started to slow down, right? People went out to vacations and shit, and so now I'm back in like I'm in hustle mode. So I try to put all my team out in the field all day, and I'm sitting at a desk this size, hustling clients, getting bids out, annoying people, getting you know what I'm saying, and literally it works, and you just keep picking up checks, and like you know, like I just said, July, August are my slow months, right? I got slow months, I got money going out for real estate, so it comes and goes, it flows.
What's your model for finding clients? Like, how are you finding these jobs? And you said you do project-based landscaping, correct?
Yes.
What goes into that? Because I would imagine you're not doing specific, like...
Taking big-ass trees and putting them in the ground.
Really?
So when I say project-based, it's like, it can be anything from doing your spring cleanup and mulching to building a $150,000 backyard. And anything in between. Some of my clients pay, you know, like for a little weeding, and we don't like those jobs, but you know, if they're spending 30 G's a year with us, we'll do it. Yeah. So it can be anything from hardscaping patios, walkways, you know, boulder walls, like massive walls, to again the spring cleanups, drainage, landscape lighting, regrading, brand new lawns, things like that.
How do you get people to trust you as a 22-year-old kid?
So they don't know my age, number one.
They don't ask you, like, yo, how old are you, man?
They don't, and that's one thing. I got 30. A question on TikTok, like, how do you do it? And it's like, dude, it all comes back to like your brand, your professionalism with the client. How am I educating my client? Yeah. Like, dude, you got to have confidence, and it's built over years, right? So it all comes like people don't realize my age. They really don't. They're handing me a check. They're talking about kids. They're asking like, how many kids do I have? Like 3. like you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, dude, I'm super professional, and I think a lot of these landscapers are the opposite. Oh, I'm gonna swing by on Saturday, like over text, like I'm just not like that.
Yeah, a lot of landscapers are gritty guys, gritty fellas. I know a few.
I worked for a landscaping company for about 2.5 weeks, and I hated my life. I hated my life. Yo, they had us picking up cigarette butts, and that's where I'm like, yo, I gotta like escape this matrix, man. I gotta make me some money. Have you ever worked a traditional 9-to-5 job? So,
yes and no. Like when I was starting my business and me and my brother were working together, one of his buddies approached us, was like, yo, do you want to come help my boss do some cleanups? And he is in the landscaping business. Small outfit, and I'm like, dude, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to learn, I want to make money, even if it was way less than I was making in my business. And so I went and worked for this guy named Wes. Long story short, ended up working for him for like 2 seasons, 3 seasons, part-time. I was doing my thing. And then like now he's my project manager. So like long story short, he sold his business, worked for a big outfit. I would hire him on the weekends. Came full circle. He got upset with that company, and I was like, dude, I'll hire you. And so now he works for me.
Yeah, and people I was working with too, like the people he also hired to work with us were all like fresh out of jail.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You know, I remember those
people
stories.
Were like fighting with shovels and shit. It was nuts.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
That does happen.
Yeah.
It does it. I don't know.
So another thing I thought was interesting was like, as you're kind of leveling up yourself and your brand and your money situation, like how are you dealing with your own ego? Do you think that you know, maybe you can get ahead of yourself sometimes. Maybe like girls might be more interested, or you got rollies on your wrists and all this other stuff might be going on. Like, how are you keeping yourself grounded? Or are you just like, fuck it, I'm a
Fuck
baller.
it,
Like, let's
yeah,
go.
22.
Yeah, so it's like a very fine balance. So how do I keep myself humbled? I know who I am, right? All the people behind the cameras don't like know exactly who I am. They don't hang out with me 24/7. They're not my family member. So it's like you got to know who you are deep down before you're gonna like buy stupid stuff like Rolexes and think of like, you know, driving around in fast cars and thinking you're this shit. And then also, you know, like we were talking with your buddy, like I had a very humbling experience when I was 20. I had a kidney transplant, and I remember, you know, very specifically. I try not to remember to this day. Couldn't talk, couldn't walk for a couple days.
Yeah.
In like crazy pain, and it's just, I don't even want to talk about it, but that's a very humbling experience. So what makes me happy at the end of the day is I thank God for my breath, my words, and my steps. And like I could lose everything tomorrow, and I wake up, dude, and I got that, like my health.
Yeah,
I'm happy as can be. I'm the same type of energy I am today.
I think that's really important to note, because I think in today's day and age, it's important to have like a solid foundation of values in which you conduct yourself when you get yourself into all these different endeavors, whether it be business or athletics or podcasts or whatever. Like if you keep yourself grounded in what you truly believe in, I think then you can go very far if you stick to those things.
Yes.
Maybe a lot of people's values are like shaky, you know, like I say I'm this way, but then I get an opportunity. Yeah.
The other end of that, like what the other end of that looks like.
That's a strong foundation you got to build.
So how does that feel now, like having your basically your new lease on life? Like going forward, what does that look like for you?
So, you know, after recovery and stuff, I look at it as crazy and as horrible the whole situation was. It's a blessing. Like, who else my age has that experience? You know what I'm saying? Like, as silly as that sounds, it's like they don't have it. And so I don't, you know, a lot of these guys don't have the mindset, the perspective I have. So that's a blessing. In a weird way, dude, it taught me how to build a business that ran on itself, right? I hired this team. I hired salary people. I just hired we were going in the right direction, and you get hit out of left field with this. And so there's certain blessings that come out of every like situation.
Did that hurt your perception of the life of business in any way? Like, did you think like after that, maybe should I just focus on me enjoying as much life as I can? I mean, it seems like you love what you do, so I would imagine like you're doing that regardless, but did that cross your mind?
I think, like once I got out and was in recovery, like I did like last year, right? So I'm only 2 years in it. August 26th is my second year, like anniversary. You know, I recovered for 6 months, and then like literally that year, like I traveled to Greece, Hawaii, like I was in Miami balling out, New York City, like I just did me. And obviously I still ran my business and everything, and we still growed. And so like I've even noticed coming out of that, it's like every year I'm out of it and I'm healthy. Like I'm like that much more dialed in to my goals. I still try to travel. I still like, I find enjoyment again from just the basics. Yeah. But I'll be like giddy if I'm going to a steakhouse and eating a steak. Yeah. Like I love that type of shit.
Yeah. So you're a traveler. Where'd you say you've been?
So like, I've been all over the U.S. for competitive shotgun shooting.
Oh, wow.
That was a whole other thing. I did an online school for the last 2 years of my high school career, ran my business and traveled as well as overseas for that. And then like I've been again like Greece, Hawaii multiple times.
That's awesome.
Florida, Miami. I just go to Boston, Canada. I don't know.
We have a crazy trip to Colombia mid-December that we're going on this year. Okay. So we're going down to Colombia in December. Yeah,
plan on just backpacking too, like not really going there with much of a plan. Going to Bogota. Him and I are going to be there by ourselves. We're going to meet our friend Matt there, and then we're going to try to find our way with the little Spanish that we know to Medellin, and our flight's leaving from Medellin. So
back to Maryland on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild experience.
It is.
But I've been to Greece. Greece is pretty fire. I've been to Athens.
Okay.
Yeah, Greece is so cool, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, Greece, I think about it like, damn, like recently I've been thinking about like it's these one lifetime trips. You like hit up your friends, your buddies, like, yo, let's go to Greece. And they're like, I don't have the money, but like they got $1,200 by the time, you know what I mean? Whatever. And like, you just start balling out in Greece. Yeah. Greece was a great trip. Hawaii. And it's one of those things. It's like, it wasn't like necessarily a luxury trip. I mean, we'd be going out, we'd be going to the clubs. But we did Airbnbs and like all that kind of stuff.
Dude, when I stayed in Greece, I ate bread and oranges for like 4 days.
Why?
Just because that's how we were living, I guess. We had a little bit of euros, and that's how we were doing it.
Wow, you
We stayed
guys
in
are brave.
hostels too. We stayed in hostels. Bro.
Wow.
We were fucking bare bones, bro.
The Columbia trip happened spur of the moment too. We were
Yeah.
sitting down in Moe's. Our friend Matt was coding our website, and
Matt's a savage.
he
too.
was Matt's a savage. You would love that guy. But he was like, "You boys want to go to Columbia?" Like I don't even remember how it came up, like how he like got into bringing up the whole Columbia trip. But that's exactly how it was. We're sitting there eating our meals, and it was just something along the lines of like, "You boys want to go to Columbia?" And like we're kind of looking around, like, "Whoa,
Just
that's
do
Columbia."
it, dude. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, just fucking do it. That I love that trip. I think about Greece multiple times throughout the week. Like 100%. Good on you guys.
So you got a lot of shit going on, right?
Yep.
How do you stay like centered and not get overwhelmed by all the shit that's going on?
So I think that comes back to like my health routine, the people I have around me, and just my fucking drive.
You got to walk away from it sometimes. Like a big day, you just have to like shut off everything and then kind of recenter yourself.
Yeah, like if you have tough days, which happens a lot,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. You've been grinding. You got this situation, right? In business, you get paid to solve people's problems. So, and you want bigger checks, you're going to take on bigger problems. So some nights, dude, it's just like, all right, like you're maxed out. I just go to bed, wake up, and just keep fighting in the morning. And then, so it's that type of strategy.
Yeah.
And then it's also like, I think if I didn't work out every day, if I didn't like eat half decently, if I didn't have like my positive attitude where I'm just smiling and like, then it would be, I'd have different outcomes in life.
Where do you find your peace outside of business? Like, what is your escape from that? Like, do you have anything outside of it that like keeps you somewhat grounded to just like your connection with the universe or whatever you might believe in?
God, 100%. I talk to God. Thank God for everything I've,
God did.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say that. And then like I love to work out, dude. I ran 4 miles before this came on. Like I just like to fucking sweat.
Yeah.
And then I like going out to eat. I love traveling. All that kind of like.
Yeah. I was seeing on your Instagram. You're a big time runner. That's like him over there. He's a crazy. I despise running.
To run. I don't run.
I don't like running, but like I'm a big time lifter. I love lifting. I love like jujitsu. We do now. Athletics my whole life, but I never was able to get into running. Like, what is that like for you?
Running's like its own form of meditation.
It is
Very much so.
very well is. And so how that all started, I was never a big runner. I used to be the fat kid in middle school, fat kid in high school, and like you know what I'm saying? Like could not run a fucking mile in 15 minutes. But long story short, I had the kidney transplant, and like I just remember sitting in recovery, and like I'd be at my house, and like it'd just take it day by day. I'd be able to get up off the couch, go to the bathroom and back, and then the next week I'd be able to like walk from the couch to the end of the driveway and back, and then I'd like literally go around half the block, and then like every single day got longer and longer, and then weeks would go by, and I'm like, well, damn, I'm gonna try running, and because you can't lift for like 3 to 6 months after it, and so I just got in this routine, and I felt so good, like compared to what I was dealing with. And then it just kept going and going. And then a year after my transplant, August 26th, I ran a marathon after that. And I was like the last 5 miles, dude, it was all just God like doing it because I was so worn out. So yeah.
How big was the marathon? Like how long were you running for?
26 miles.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's like your typical marathon?
26.2, yeah.
What is the name? So you run your own, I wouldn't call it a marathon. What would you call it? Can you describe?
It's a 5K like nonprofit event.
Yeah. So what got you into doing that? I'm guessing it was your whole condition and everything, but how was the creation of that? Like that must feel good to have something like that going.
I love talking about it. Like, oh, I got a nonprofit event going on, but it's just all these families. So there's an organization called NEFCure. They're a nonprofit that focus with rare kidney disease.
Yeah.
We've been involved with them since I was diagnosed in like 2nd grade. So we co-host it with them. All the proceeds go to them, everything. That's awesome. They handle all that kind of stuff. And then obviously my mom like does the t-shirt ordering and like that kind of stuff. And then I'm the promoter, dude. So, we have a little team and we put it on and it feels great to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Like I think right when we found out about who you were, we were also told about that event, but it was like literally a day later and we weren't able to make
Carson
it.
wanted me to come running.
Yeah. That's awesome, like doing that.
I was running with your buddy Carson,
Yeah. I wanted to walk it back a little bit too. I heard you say before, we breezed past it, but you were talking about competitive shotgunning. What is that? What is that all about? I got to go there for a second.
So it's just my love for guns as a kid. So like 13, I started doing like 22 competitive shooting out in Acklen, and then like one opportunity leads to the next, and then I would do it's called American Trap. It's called ATA. And we did that for a couple years and traveled around the country and did that. And then like one coach led to the next, and I got into international like trap shooting.
Yeah.
That's what's in the Olympics. And so like I was doing that every weekend, and so we would go out to Colorado multiple times a season and compete in Junior Olympics. And the whole goal was to get on the Olympic team. We'd go out
what
to
does that
Italy.
look like though? Like, what are you actually doing?
So it's the orange targets.
Oh, it's like the shit they like throw or they shoot it out of something. And you shoot it out the sky.
Yes.
Yo, that's awesome. That's
a lot of people recognize skeet shooting.
Yeah.
Where it's like the targets cross.
Yeah.
This is where it's a bunker and there's 25 machines below ground. And there's 5 stations on top, and they come out at 65 to 75 miles an hour in all different directions.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting with your shotgun, you get 2 shots at it.
So you're the last guy's house to break into around here, huh?
Yeah. I don't know
crazy.
if they can get to one of the guns around before me.
What got you into guns at that young of an age? That's like interesting to me too. I mean, I guess like when I was young, we had the BB guns and shit. Like we were always around shooting each other. Cops around with BB guns and Nerf guns. Like, was it a similar story, or like what got you into that?
I don't really know. Maybe it was like movies I was watching with like Chuck Norris and stuff as a kid, and Rambo and stuff. But I always loved it. And it was always one of those things where it's like my parents would shoot it down immediately. So it was probably one of those things where I was like, all right, I can't get it. I want it even more.
Yeah.
And so, and then it just kept going and going. It started with airsoft guns. I would convince it was always my mom would let me. My dad was like, no. So like we were up at Cabela's and I was like, oh, I want this. It's $40. I would bring my money. All of a sudden I had it out.
Yeah.
And then like you keep nudging and nudging.
So before when we were
talking.
talking
The sale, right? The art of the sale.
Yeah.
So before when we were talking about like your physical recovery from your kidney disease, I was interested in like, how did you get back into the business aspect after your recovery? Like, was that tricky? Was that challenging at all? Like stepping away from the business for however long you did, if at all, what was that like getting back into?
Yeah, I definitely stepped away because like I didn't do anything like for 3 months except like be at home, right? I could talk, text, and like check my bank accounts and stuff. Was it tricky? Maybe I found my way in now, and it's like right now I'm doing sales and marketing, and my project manager and the team does everything else.
Yeah.
And now I don't think it was tricky. I think once I fully recovered and like you're on all sorts of drugs coming out of it, and so you notch off some stuff, you find what works, and so like you kind of come back to like level-headedness.
Yeah.
I just got right back in the fight, and I'm just doing it day to day.
Yeah. So which one do you think was more challenging, the physical aspect, or the getting back into the business of it?
Physical.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Wow, man.
What do you think your end goal is with this business?
I don't even with what business
Like maybe just your life. What's your end goal?
I don't even think about end goals. I just kind of think about like my next steps. So obviously I'm buying real estate to offset my income taxes from my businesses, and then I'm also on the back end growing the social media.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm monetizing via coaching and brands, but it's not like life-changing money.
Yeah.
I think my end goal is to become my own private equity company and acquire
buying businesses like Hormozy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Acquire, start back end businesses. Now that I've been in business and I know, and I can like look at a business, be like, damn, like I can hire one mortgage lender and lend out hard money to 15 different people, and he can produce like I'm gonna pick that business over buying $250,000 worth of landscaping equipment and da 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 da.
Yeah. So you have a love for the game.
Yes.
Like business is like your sport almost.
Exactly.
That's very, very interesting. Oh,
yes.
Shit's falling down. Huh?
The studio's haunted.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's a lot of different components to it. There's a lot of different skill sets that you can have in that game that could contribute towards your overall success. Like it seems to me you're a PR/sales guy, huh?
Yeah.
And just like an overseer also.
I don't even know what I am, dude. I'm just like, I love to smile, talk to people, build new relationships. I love the money aspect of it, managing the money, this business strategy. I constantly dude, I'm like, I have 2 accountants that I like interact with, and I'm like, well, what about this? What about this? Since a little kid, my neighbor Joe was like a contractor handyman, and the kids be playing in the basement, and I'd go like to the workshop and be asking him, how do I swing a fucking hammer? And I just ask him a million questions. So I've always been like the curious, like thinking about the next thing.
Do you think like ever since a very young age, it was a love for the game, or do you think that somehow became what you wanted to do later on?
I don't even know. I think at 13, I started mowing lawns because I loved money, and that's the only skill I knew how to do. And then it just, God has a plan for everyone.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you mean? Could you go back and explain what it means to acquire more properties to offset, was it your property taxes?
Income taxes.
Income taxes. So how does that work?
So that works through depreciation. So, when you're in business and I'm a landscaper, let's say I make a $200,000 net profit within a year, but I also within that year, separate from all the other expenses, I bought an $85,000 truck.
Yep.
If that truck weighs over 6,000
You
pounds,
can write it off, right?
I can write off the full amount, right? So now if I wanted to, I could make 115 on my tax return, right? And then I pay less taxes. So then what you can do is you have to be a real estate professional, which I am in this year, but you can also just buy real estate. And the way the depreciation works out over 27 and a half years. So here's an example. I bought a $400,000 house this year. The cash flow on that property net at the end of the year will maybe be between like $8,000 and $12,000. But the depreciation on that property will be way more. So since I'm a real estate professional, I'll be able to bring up my depreciation of $86,000 or something on that property, which then I can So, I'll make money in my CMG business and these other businesses, and then I'll depreciate my real estate.
That's interesting. See, I don't think I really understand the concept of depreciation, because from my understanding, that's like the property losing its value, correct?
Correct.
I see.
Losing its value on paper.
But is that in relation to like the real estate market? Like
No.
The way that the real estate market goes up or down, or is it different?
It's really
It's probably complex, I'm sure.
It is kind of complex, but once you get it, you're like, damn, how much properties can I buy? It's really how the IRS writes the tax law. So as long as you kind of know that and figure out and again, I've been around this for so many years. So it's like you sit there and you're in, like I was just in my accountant's office on Thursday wrapping up my 2022s. And so he'll, pull that screen around and he'll show me certain numbers and be like this. And then I'm learning. So, but long story short, if you're a real estate professional, like, Chester County Jesus is and myself, there's all sorts of benefits. And so one of the benefits is I buy it in really simple terms. Let's say I've bought like $1 million worth of real estate this year. If you're a real estate professional, you can do something called cost segregation, and it depends all on the property, but you can take 30% of that $1 million and write it off as depreciation. So $300,000.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. What does it take
There's a cap to it, and there's all sorts of back-end laws, but basics, that's what you can do.
That's interesting. What does it take to be a real estate professional? 'Cause I took my classes. I just never took a test or like became a agent or anything like that.
So to my understanding, there's two different ways. If you're a real estate agent, then that automatically classifies you as a real estate professional because that's your business. If you're not a real estate agent, then you need at least 720 hours a year. I think it's like 14 to 15 hours a week. You need to focus. You need to be in the real estate business, or it needs to be majority of what your business is. So like I said, now that I have a manager in my business and like I can go, like I'm going to Florida on Sunday for a week and my business runs by itself, a lot of times like I'm looking at real estate, I'm looking at properties, I'm talking to my lenders, I'm doing these flips. Like after this, I got to go to my flip and make sure that's all cleaned up. So a lot of my time's delegated to real estate now.
That's interesting. So that would be like a large percentage of what your business is real estate.
100%.
Wow.
Overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific business or LLC or anything set in place for your real estate, or how does that work? Yeah, so I have a real estate LLC called Gallagher Properties, and like 3 or 4 properties are under that right now. It's everyone's situation is different, and I'm not a lawyer or an accountant, but it does provide a level of liability, limited liability, you know what I'm saying, to chase Gallagher, but you can just buy bigger and bigger umbrella policies. These big guys, 25, 50 million, mine's 5. So whether you're buying it under your personal name or these LLCs, but I think an LLC just might help you with taxes. Having another LLC, there's revenue to it, credit lines, all sorts of stuff. That tax game, is that something you were interested in getting into this game, or is that something that just comes with it that you had to learn?
I'm very interested in it, just like economics, like what's the Fed doing, Like I'm very, very, very into it.
How do you recommend, let's say, kids your age when you started get into this? Or do you think like you kind of just got lucky and the universe had it so that you developed all these skills at a very young age? Do you think kids should wait, or do you think kids should get into it as early as
they should have started 8 years ago?
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. How would you recommend somebody go about starting this, let's say even at the age of 13?
Starting what specifically?
Like, I guess anything entrepreneurial, but
Game of
like,
business.
yeah, game of business or just mindset in general. Because it seemed like in a weird way, like your mindset at such a young age was oddly molded to do this too.
Yeah.
So I think like that's a big part of it.
I get asked that a lot, the mindset, and honestly, I don't know how to produce that. Again, it's all God's plan.
Yeah.
But I will say to people like your buddies that were just in here, they seem like great guys, but it sounds like they spent 2 weeks working on an LLC. It should be the other way around. Yeah, right here. I'm calling you out.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, like it should be the other way around. Go produce revenue. Like I owned my business. Like I named it Buzzcut Lawn Care. I think it was Chase's Lawn Care back then for a whole year.
Yeah.
Before I even had the LLC set up. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm testing the waters, and I want to make sure I can produce revenue. I want to make sure I like it.
Yeah.
And then build the back end. And you just learn by trial and error.
Fuck yeah.
Is there anything that comes with not getting the LLC prior to like going and making sales? Because I was under the impression
you
when
can
we
conduct business without an LLC.
Yeah, you're a sole proprietor, so you can bring in revenue, and then your accountant just like, oh, you did 25 grand worth of landscaping work as a sole proprietor that year.
Yeah.
And he does it. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different classification of a different piece of paper.
Yeah.
The LLC just limits your liability, correct?
Yep. It can kind of separate to like, all right, Chase Gallagher owns $5 million in real estate here. He's getting sued for using the wrong chemical and the dog died. Well, you know, Karen can only sue him for what's under that business.
So why were we so proactive in doing that so early?
What, the LLC
Yeah.
for our business? To tell you the truth, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing
You guys have an LLC?
Yeah, we do have an LLC.
For this?
Yeah.
I think you guys wasted money.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't. I mean, we spent a lot more money on this entire thing than it
100%.
would have costed for like the LLC in general.
I don't know
honestly.
what we were thinking. I think we were thinking for like travel costs and stuff like that, and like writing off equipment and shit.
Oh, I see. That's
I think that was the idea.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I shouldn't have said you wasted your money. I actually am a big component of every single person having an LLC.
Yeah.
Because then you can, you know, as long as you're conducting business, write off your Starbucks, your fuel, whatever the vibe is. Talk to a certified accountant.
I don't even know how to do that shit. Like we drove here,
Yeah,
we can write that off.
I would love to talk to
we
you
use
more.
our business card, so we can write that shit off and like make plays that way. We bought a bunch of equipment after having the LLC.
Yeah.
We can write that stuff off as well.
Your meals when you're talking about your
Yeah,
podcast, all that's a write off. And so then you guys have W-2 jobs.
Yeah.
You're gonna, you know, your paycheck takes out so much taxes. Now at the end of the year, yes, accountant's gonna charge you to do it.
Yeah.
But your podcast business is gonna, let's say, it brought in $2,500 of revenue, but it lost $10,000, $12,000 that year. Then you guys will split the $6K loss. It'll come off your taxes, and then technically you'll get a return.
Oh my goodness.
So that's like a great way for a W-2 employee to do it.
Yeah, I'm
See,
very.
we got to learn, man.
I
That's
know.
why we're here, though. That's why we're here.
Yeah. I'm very ignorant in the game of taxes, but I'm also like, you got into it extremely young. I feel like in many ways, like my life is still just starting in those terms of like what we're talking about right now. So like up until this point, I've been very ignorant with some of those concepts. So we should probably
get
more
ourselves
time.
into that. A lot of people think that's like taboo stuff. Like you don't worry about that. Money can make you evil, all that shit.
Yeah.
But, like truthfully, it can possibly bring you freedom. It will bring you freedom.
It will.
110%. And one piece of advice I'll give the audience is, you know, a lot of people just lean on their accountant to figure it out. And yes, they know the details. And if you ask them to search up a law, a good accountant will come back to you a day or two later and say, hey, here's how you can write off your jet, or here's how you can, you know what I'm saying, things like that. But you need to be the interactive, like the guy to say, hey, what about this law? Hey, what about this?
Push the issues.
You gotta fight for yourself because accountants have 1,500 clients or whatever the situation is. So yeah, I'm always Googling, YouTubing, and all sorts of stuff.
So yeah, you were doing a lot of self-research. See, I typically learn a lot of these like concepts through people I have conversations with on the show. So like similar like what he was saying before, like this is a big learning experience for us as well. Taxes, the whole game of taxes, I don't think I really got into until literally we started this probably. I probably didn't even consider, or I probably didn't even really know what the game of taxes were until we started this.
Got to get going, man. We got to start working.
Well, stuff's starting to do pretty good now. So I think doing stuff like that is definitely smart.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No doubt.
Never too young to learn about it, dude. I'd get ahead of the game. Just if it's at night at YouTube, I pop it on. You know what I mean? Like, and you're just picking little things up over time.
That's another thing I'm interested in with you specifically is like, how do you find like, because I battle with this a lot in my life, and I can only imagine it's much worse for you. How are you finding time, like in just your regular day? You're 7 days in a week. What does your me time look like, and how are you getting that?
It's all habits. It's all like I've just every year leveled it up, and like me time, I don't really have my me time's at the gym. You know what I'm saying? My me time's like when I'm at Barclay Steakhouse, like, but it's not like every week. You know what I'm saying? The working out I do every day. My me time's like I get my morning coffee, dude, and it's like I'm the happiest man in the world from a $5 coffee. And then, finding the time, it's like my schedule's kind of built, dude. I wake up, go to the gym, get my coffee, and then I have my meetings or my phone calls lined up, and then I'm usually going somewhere. And then at the end of the day, 5, 6, 7 p.m., I'm either trying to go to a networking event or I'm coming home, working on my social media, eating dinner, and go and like then I work till 10 or 11 on social media. Then I go to bed. Like it's just a repeat thing.
You're not cutting any grass, are you?
Absolutely not.
Damn, son. How many clients do you have?
Like we've worked for over 1,000 people over the past 3 to 4 years.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
And so you're not like you have real like landscaping jobs ongoing too. Like they're happening.
So there's no necessarily repeat business in my business. It's all project based.
I see what you're saying.
So if that answers your question.
What I mean is like you have projects going on while you're going through your day and stuff like that too.
Yeah, exactly. I got crews, 2 crews that are, or 1 crew will put them together for the bigger hardscape projects. I got a project manager. I got a foreman. I got my office girl. Like they're all working.
Wow.
As well as I am. But I get to wake up, go to the gym while but I'm always working.
Yeah.
My schedule's from like it's 24/7.
Yeah. You're just working in a different way.
Yeah.
You're working a little smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The game of leverage.
Exactly.
What do you think about leverage? What's your hot take on the game of leverage?
I think that's like, dude, there's unlimited skills to learn, like you were saying, tax, sales, marketing, leverage. Yes. And I'm into leverage as well. I'm into like learning this kind of stuff. So there's real estate leverage, there's time leverage, there's labor leverage, there's networking, social media leverage. So I try to pick this kind of stuff and focus on that.
Yeah, it seems like you're kind of getting big into social media. How has that journey been with you so far? Like I was checking out your YouTube page, your Instagram. I don't know how long you've been focusing on content for, but it seems like you're definitely doing a lot of it now. Like I was noticing you post like on Instagram, you're making like a post a day, which is pretty good.
At least my personal, it's 3 posts a day or more. But I got like my personal Facebook, I got the business Instagram, I got the TikTok. So I've been taking social media like serious for almost a year now, where it's like multiple posts a day, and like semi-serious for 2 years. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's about like the same amount of time we've been doing it for. Like we've been pretty serious about doing this for a little over a year, like slightly. I don't even think we've been doing this for a year and a half yet.
One thing I can appreciate is that I don't think I take it that you're the type of guy that like doesn't set limitations. Like if you just think you could do shit and you just do it.
100%. Yeah. I don't think about it, dude. What I've learned is like, fuck learning your next 50 steps. Just focus on your next 1, but know your next 3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like also I get the impression that like if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And like outside distractions, like they don't really fuck with you. You seem like a really focused dude. Like you're just like whatever you say you're going to do, you're focused on that thing. And then until it happens, like you're not focusing on anything else with it.
Yeah. Focus. Yeah, dude. I'm focused.
That's fucking sick.
You seem like you run a pretty tight-knit system. Like you got a lot going together right now, but you talk like you move in steps. So what would you say your next step is? Like how do you plan to shake the game up next? What's your next step?
I'm not even planning on like shaking the game up. I just know like this year's step is hiring a salesman for my landscape construction business or restructuring my current business to promote my top guy into the sale. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be one of those two. And then I know this year I need to buy so much more real estate to cost seg to offset my active income. And then I know, all right, I'm trying to buy a jet. So
I know, I peeped that. That's like crazy.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to make sure my balance sheet is beefed up enough to make sure it makes sense. So if I can get $5 million in real estate by September of 27th next year, because that's when my jet membership ends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And then I can write that, like, that's how I think. I don't know.
Dude,
you have a jet membership?
Yeah.
So how the fuck does that work? Like you gotta I'm gonna pay you what, $1 million a year and you just take me where the fuck I wanna go?
No, it's actually not what you think. It's not that expensive how I do it.
Yeah.
I'm not Chester County Jesus is like, who is this fucking guy sitting here? But
Chester County Jesus in the back, like
I know. I wish they could see it, man.
He knows the vibes. But like I've flown out of my local private jet airport, Chester County, right here. Philly, Boston, I'm in and out of a lot. fucking Virginia, you name it.
Oh, don't do that. What are we doing? Sorry about that.
But anyways, there's a company called Wheels Up. They're like the newest jet share company in the space.
Interesting.
And I actually became friends with the chief marketing officer of Wheels Up through my fucking Instagram.
Oh
dude.
my God.
I have his number. He's like, call me anytime. I'm like, this is amazing. Anyway, and I got a discount. Like, not that I asked for it, but like, and my re-up membership was like discounted with all these benefits. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. Like, but anyways,
a year?
So it started out as a couple grand, like 35 4Gs, and then you pay per flight. And then they also the couple grand gives you access to their hot flights essentially, and the hot flights are a couple hundred to like 10 15 Gs. A normal charter, if I want to take a jet, like I was trying to do this for my 21st, from Philly to Las Vegas would be 40 Gs. Yeah. So obviously I'm not doing that.
Oh my God.
This is why I want to buy a jet. But
I got to get into that too, but go ahead, finish what you were saying.
So I take the hot flights. They only give you a 24-hour notice, and it's only one way. But I'm on these light jets, these XL jets. There's like levels to it. It goes like propeller, light, XL, or like citation, XL. So it goes from like 5, 6 to 8 to 9 passengers, and then you have like the XL jets. They probably only have a couple of those. But yeah, I guess that's how it works. If that answers your question.
That's fucking nuts. So you said that you plan to do that, like potentially purchase a jet by next year, correct?
Yeah. So I was taking the Alex Hormozy vibe last year, where it was like thinking 10-year terms, and I still do, and I need to get back to that a little bit more on my day-to-day basis. But I was like, all right, if I can structure my business and this, I can buy a jet before I'm 30. That was the original goal last year. And I started thinking like that for, 3, 4, 6 months. And I'm like, damn, if my business can do $5 million a year in revenue, I know I can take, 50, 75 G's a month to pay for a jet or whatever. And then I started, going into this year, and it's all God's plan, but you make a lot more money. Your accountant sent you your P&L, and you're like, fuck, how can I offset this? I don't want to pay Joe Biden. I hate to say that, but I don't. And so where was I going with that? So you start looking into buying assets that you can appreciate within that year. Jets, stuff that weighs 6K or more. And then you start talking to these brokers, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you start doing research, and then it's like, well, you can also, have a management company manage your jet. And so your direct cost, right? So on a light jet, a light jet's anywhere from $1 to $3 million, and it's cost you, no matter if you fly it or not, $300 to $400K a year. Now that's
just like store it, like, or just
that's your pilot, that's your maintenance. That's on a really light. That's on a single pilot light jet. So that's like, and that's on like a used one. So you start looking at the numbers, and then like management comes into play. So that's where I'm at. I'm like learning from these jet brokers. I'm trying to talk with managers. I'm looking for referrals, because then it's like, all right, well, I don't need to bring out the 75K a month if I can just manage it, because I fly twice a month. You know what I'm saying? So it's like putting the numbers together to make it happen.
What's blowing my fucking mind here the most is like, I don't remember if this is your exact age, but you said you were roughly 13 when you bought that first dirt bike with the money you made mowing lawns.
I was 11. So I bought the dirt bike, $2,000 brand new, when I was 11. That was from
your chore money. Yes.
Yeah. And then 13, I started the business. I'm like, I kind of probably need cash, because I'm like looking at how much the lawnmower, the trailer, this. And so I sold it. I also had some cash, and that helped me like invest in the.
Isn't that crazy that that 11-year-old Chase went from I want a dirt bike, I'm gonna put my mind together, my money, I'm gonna get this dirt bike. Literally, not even 10 years later, you're talking about buying a private jet.
Yo, it's God's plan. And 2 years ago, dude, 2 years ago, I'm like drooling over jets. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to ever afford one, how I'm ever going to buy one. I was thinking, damn, I'll be 60 and I'll have one and I'll be happy. But and then it's just like one step at a time. You make some money. All of a sudden, there's this new Wheels Up program. And it's like, all right, I'll spend this amount of money every year just to get into a jet and feel what it's like. And I'm telling you, it's like an experience you've never had before. Yeah. And so literally they say if you can touch it and feel it, like it'll happen or whatever. Yeah. So one step led to a next, dude.
How do you go about structuring setting your goals? Like, when you think about the goals that you want to set in place, what is your process like? How do you develop your goals?
It's a great question. I mean, the business, I always try to double. Like, past 3 to 4 years, we've just almost doubled in revenue. There's been some years where it's been a bit more. Yeah. Some years where it's been 10% less, but essentially double. And so I try to do that every year.
So you never like, did you sit down one day and you're like, at what age did you like decide to yourself like, oh, I want to get that private jet? Like that's kind of what I was referring to. Do you ever set goals like that where it's like maybe when you were younger, like, oh, I want to get my first property. It costs X amount of money. I got to put this amount of time before I can do that.
Or the private jet thing, I was like writing it down about so how I one of the tricks too is writing your goals down every day. I'm going to be the first one to say like this past year, I didn't do that. Last year I did. And then it's like I write my goals down in the past tense. So it's like I own a Honda Elite private jet that holds 6 passengers or like, you know, like, and you're doing that type of thing. And then same thing with the revenue. CMG Landscaping earned $5 million in revenue in 2023 at 50% profit margin, blah, blah, blah. And it's like very detailed.
Yeah. In this wild fucking life that you're living, like, do you ever sit down and like reflect? And if so, like, what is that like? Like, do you ever like have days where you sit down and you're like, man, like, what the fuck is going on like with my life right now? Like, do you ever have those days? Like, what the hell is going on?
Just regular, huh?
I don't think like that, and I don't even reflect that much.
Yeah.
The fact that you said that and we have it on video about from 11 to dirt bike to a jet, you're like, I love that, thinking like that. That's dope. Yeah. I just go back to, dude, God makes everything happen. He made my transplant happen the way it happened, and he, you know, and I started realizing that, and it's all just his plan.
Yeah. I like what he said before. It's like, you don't seem like you're a very past or future oriented guy. Like for you, it's like, what the fuck do I got to do right now that's going to elevate me? And let's focus on doing that.
100%.
Like you're all about your business in the current moment, which I really respect.
And I'm, you know, trying to get better at the future, but it's like, dude, if it happened an hour ago, it fucking happened. I'm not a time traveler.
I mean, but you know better than most people that like your future is not guaranteed. Like
100%.
Yeah. So like even doing that, like it's hard sometimes. Like I definitely struggle with that. Like I'm a big past and future guy, like kind of opposite to you, that I struggle sometimes just living in the moment. That's extremely hard for me. But I think that's pretty interesting in your regard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, not every day I'm living in the moment per se, but I do, like, again, it comes back to the things that I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
Like literally just bodily functioning, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what's going to make me happy. So it's like everything on top of that's a bonus.
Yeah, man.
So focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Right in front of you, go at that. And all this other noise, bullshit, fucking leave it aside.
Yeah.
Make a goal and just work your way backwards. You know, and it sounds very simple, and it's not. But if you can make that goal like a fucking jet, and then like I really want that jet. I have a cool little C8, but it's like I'm not really into cars as much as I'm trying to like get my jet.
You got a C8 vet, like a Corvette?
Yeah.
I know he listens to Baby. Little Baby. Yeah. Like Little Baby. What's that like? So, like, I don't know. He was talking before, like, the egoistic mind of a young man. That's like.
That's got to do something to you, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know Little Baby specifically is always talking about the C8 vet. So, like, how does that feel? Like, you're 22 years old. You're killing it right now. You're on top of the fucking world. In the car, the C8 vet, bumping Little Baby. Chase Gallagher. What the fuck is your life like right now, man?
Again, like this might disappoint you guys. This might, and like even my buddy that bought a Lamborghini, like you buy the car, you own it for 3 months. I drive it home, like having the jitters and shit, like you're fucking on top of this world. But after 3 months, like again, I don't control how the world works, but you walk out in the garage and it's just your car.
Yeah,
I'm blessed that I drive it, but again, like I know where my happiness comes from, so it's like it's cool. It's like getting me to the next thing, right? Like, but it is just the next car. But don't get me wrong, it is baller to like pull up in a C8 or like you're one day you're coming back from New York City, you're driving, you got an $85K car, you got a $20,000 watch, you're like, oh shit, like, but at the point it's like 100 G's is 100 G's. It's not gonna make or break anything.
So what would you say in terms of like specifics brings you the most fulfillment now? That like you've experienced that?
Good question.
I don't know how to specifically like answer it. I love the game of business. I love like just getting like building, right? Like I'm building, I'm looking at where my net worth is every year and things like that. And then day-to-day happiness, like that's why I love working out and that's why I do it every day. Cause it's like, I know what it's like to like literally not be able to walk, talk without like all that kind of stuff. So, it's like I'll be on the treadmill, get a couple miles in, listen to Little Baby. I'm fucking like some days I'm like
dialed up.
Like I'm sure the gym people are like this wacko. But that's where I find happiness, I guess.
Wow, man. Well,
Fucking Chase Gallagher.
Yeah,
son.
Chase Gallagher. I mean, man, we took up a lot of your time. Thank you again for having us. I don't know who specifically owns this studio, but thank you guys again for
Very Jim,
hosting
shout
us,
out
having us.
Sean right there.
What do we call him? What's
Chester
this?
County
Chester
County
County
Jesus.
Jesus. I kept forgetting the name.
You
Don't
need to
fuck
start
around.
an Instagram.
Yeah. Why don't you come pop on real quick? Show the people who you are.
No, fuck the
I think you're
Delco.
better than
Fuck
the
the
Fuck the
Delco
Delco
Jesus.
Jesus.
We should
Oh,
crucify his
God.
ass.
He's probably at the bar on Fridays, Saturday, and Sundays and Thursdays.
Well, Chase,
You're meditating or something.
I think you're a bad dude, man. Not like obviously this our
Bad
lingo. Yeah,
motherfucker.
you're a bad
Savage.
motherfucker.
Yeah,
You live a really cool and interesting life, and I'm very happy we got to have this conversation. I would love to pick your brain more outside of this. I don't think like the cameras are necessary for like some of the shit that I want to ask you. But again, I really thank you for having us and taking up your time, because I know you got to be out there in the field making your money.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the people in terms of where they can find you, where they can maybe consult with you? Anything.
Yeah, so if you guys want to learn more about what I know or just follow the lifestyle, you can go to Instagram, Chase_Gallagher. That's on TikTok, that's on YouTube. If you guys want to learn how to grow and scale a service-based business past $1 million mark, you can click the link in any of my social medias. You can follow my business Instagram page at CMG_Landscape. Say what's up, man. If you see me, say what's up. I don't know.
Let's go. You guys heard it here
GG
first.
Pod.
Chase
you guys
Gallagher.
for coming out to Chester County.
Yeah, absolutely,
you know
man.
What I'm saying? And coming from Scranton.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
sir.
we're gonna go enjoy it the rest of the day. We'll probably just chill down here for the rest of the day. I'd imagine. I don't know
Yeah.
where our people are.
Check out
Probably still
KLP.
IKEA shopping right
Yeah.
now, but yeah, we're gonna go enjoy the city. But yeah, it's been a great time, man. I'm happy we did. I'm happy we made it happen
Yes,
here.
sir.
And yeah, guys, like, subscribe, share with a motherfucking friend. We love you guys. Thank you for tapping into another one. Go check out Chase. Links in the description. You guys will see it all down there. Let's go. We love you guys. Peace.